Okay guys, I'm right over here anyway, right over here I got the steel in here. You can't really see the marks because they're on my side. This is my angle grinder with my cutoff wheel on it. So it works kind of like really scary machine to hold with the cutoff wheel. Always wear safety equipment when you're using power tools. Please and thank you. Okay, otherwise don't try this at home. I have here on heavy welder's gloves. I have a little plastic helmet underneath that. I have eye protection, a mask, and I also have earbuds in because it's very loud. The reason, and I also have this hoodie on, even though it's fairly hot out. I have the hoodie on because it helps protect me from sparks and stray scraps of steel and other sharp things. Now the reason why you should be so careful, especially with a cutoff wheel on the angle grinder, is because this spins at a very high speed, a lot of RPMs, and it's very thin and somewhat fragile. So if you kind of bend it slightly or if it catches the wrong way, it can shatter. And the point with that is that it's already going super fast. And when it breaks, it'll fly off in any direction really fast. So you don't want that embedded in things like your skull and your liver and your eye, and stuff like that. I've never had it happen to me, but I've seen it happen, and it's quite scary. That goes for pretty much anything when you have high-powered and high-speed power tools, okay? Alright, so without further ado, let me start getting some of this thing cut out. So what we just did was took off some of the major areas of metal that we need to get rid of. Cleared some areas around the tip, also some around the handle. One more caveat when you're working with steel is that whenever you have abrasion, it will generate heat. And you can generate heat enough to cause second-degree burns even from just hand power tools. So what we gotta do next is get out this area. I'm actually gonna go back and round off this a little bit so I have a better template for that. And then I can make it deeper as I need to. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this with the hacksaw, with the special blade, so I'll go get that and I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so I have my thing here. By the way, a couple of things to mention is one, I had this that I was using to pad, and whenever I put that in the vise I was putting that on there. That's so that the vise doesn't leave marks on your steel, because otherwise you'll have to grind those out later. Very helpful thing to do. I learned that when I was making bows. I actually have a set of leather, where did I put them? Oh yeah. I actually made a set of leather pieces that fit over the jaws for when you're working with wood, but they've been beat the crap out of, so I have to make some new ones. But in the meantime, since I'm only making one knife and then I'm moving, this will suffice for now. Also, if you notice, we cut off all these little bits of steel in various shapes and sizes and stuff like that with the angle grinder. And so, you know, the ones that are really small, you probably can't use them for much, but these bigger ones, these are what I use to experiment on, so I saved those, okay? Put them down there. But again, always assume that everything is hot, and that way you're very much less likely to burn yourself. And if you ever cut anything off, leave the pieces lying for a couple minutes before you go over and try and do anything with them, because they tend to be several hundred degrees, if not 1,000 or more. So now, like I said, I need to cut off that section. And I have two hacksaws I'm going to show you. This is the hacksaw you're probably most familiar with. This is just a 12-inch, like normal kind of hacksaw blade. And I use this mostly for cutting wood and soft materials, maybe even soft metals like copper. So if I'm doing, like, you know, cutting through this copper rod or something, copper's pretty soft. I might use it for that. But most of the blades I've tried don't do very well on steel, even if it's annealed like this is. There are some that will do much better and might last a while and might be feasible. But most of these, like this blade, would go dull very, very quickly, like before I'd even be able to get from there to there, you know. So instead, what I found is a different kind of blade. This is a tungsten carbide alloy coated wire, essentially. It's the same kind of wire that they use in like high-speed engraving tips for steel. Tungsten carbide is very, very strong. It's basically like sandpaper on a wire. And so instead of like cutting out small grooves, this just abrades. It works by abrasion. But the kind of nice thing is, A, this will cut fairly quickly in steel, even compared to this, if I had a good blade of that. You can cut in any direction, so I can cut up, I can cut down, I can do all that stuff. And it lasts a lot longer. One of these blades will typically last me several knives. But it's not very good for cutting soft things. So for soft things, you want this kind of blade. For really hard things, you want this kind of blade. Okay, or even a diamond coated one. I don't know if they make them now. Yeah, so let's get started.